Well, greetings and salutations, guys, and welcome to this special House of the Dragon Season 3 finale open spoiler discussion. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and of course, if the title didn't give it away, we are here to talk about the finale of House of the Dragon Season 3 in all of its open spoilery goodness. If you have not watched the finale of House of the Dragon Season 3 yet, you might want to just add this video to your favorites list and then come on back a little bit later, or hang around and find out just about everything that happened in the episode. Good to have all you guys here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here tonight. I know it's late, especially for everybody on the East Coast. It's already midnight out there, but I really wanted to do this one tonight, fresh off of watching the finale. And here's how the structure tonight's going to go. This is going to be pretty informal, pretty laid back, but I'm going to start by just talking for a few minutes about my thoughts on the episode and then my greater thoughts on the season. And then we're going to spend most of our remaining time then just taking your live questions. If you have a thought or observation or something like that about the episode, go ahead and throw it in, and we'll get around to that in just a moment. And again, hello to everybody join. We already have hundreds of people here in the live chat. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. All right. Hot damn. What an episode. What an episode. So much happened here that, you know what? And one of my favorite scenes ever, I'm not going to say it's at the top, but it's one of my favorite scenes ever in the Game of Thrones verse happened in tonight's episode. And I want to see if any of you guys in the live chat know what scene I'm going to say. And it's not when Chibs says, "This is for Sam Crow," and shoves a sword up Ormond Hightower's ass. That was great. That was great. Especially there are going to be t-shirts that say, "That's a fucking from the north," or something, whatever it was he said specifically. But that's not the scene. And yeah, it didn't take long. MJV got it. The Aegon scene, man. The Aegon confronting Aemon scene is got to be one of my favorite moments in the Game of Thrones verse ever. I loved it. Because when you understand and you remember the dynamics between the brothers, there's two key things at play. Understanding the history of the dynamics between the brothers. That's step one. Step two, the brilliant evolution of the characters of Aemon and Aegon that both of them have gone through that have made them both different people. I mean, still who they are at their core, but they are different people, essentially, than where they both were when the season started, when season 2 started, and when the whole show started. Like, they're very, very different people. And that whole freaking, that whole moment of when he like limps over to Aemon, smacks him across the face. I mean, that whole thing, and you could tell like Aemon is different now. He goes, "I am actually really sorry for what I did." And like, oh my gosh. And the whole exchange between them and Aegon laying out his whole plan. First, we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And then all of us are going to march on King's Landing and we're going to decapitate our sister. And then when I'm sitting on the Iron Throne, then I'll think about forgiving you. It was just an awesome exchange and performed brilliantly. Performed brilliantly by both of those dudes. I'll tell you what, I've hated these characters, Aemon and Aegon. I've hated them. Sometimes because we're supposed to hate them. Sometimes because I didn't think they were good characters. I mean, many times I did think they were good characters, but you know what I'm saying. But man, these two young actors who have been playing these roles have absolutely killed it, in my opinion. Like, absolutely killed it. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. That scene was so good. And also, I'll tell you what, I knew Helena's ending was coming. And I knew that ultimately she's an unimportant character in a book where really the only thing you ever hear from her is, "Oh no, they killed my son," and "Oh, I'm going to throw myself out of a window." And even I, on the John Campea Show a while ago, I said, the one thing I'm looking forward to in the last few episodes of House of Dragons, make Helena do something interesting. I'll tell you what, her throwing herself out the window, her committing suicide, the way the whole episode was structured and what led up to the moment of her throwing herself out the window was far more profound and far more, I think, tragic feeling than I thought it was going to feel. Like, honestly, I felt like, okay, at some point, this kind of secondary, unimportant character is going to throw themselves on. Who cares? But the way they structured the show, it wasn't just the tragedy of this pretty innocent girl who never asked to be born a Targaryen, who never asked to be married off to her brother, who never asked to be a part of any of this. There's a tragedy in obviously her ending her life, but there's a second level to the tragedy that I think was orchestrated beautifully in the episode. To me, Helena throwing herself out the window marked a turning point for Rhaenyra. We've been seeing Rhaenyra this season kind of losing it, right? And listen, no fault to Rhaenyra. I mean, think about Rhaenyra's lot in life for a minute. She was named as the heir to Viserys. Viserys named her his heir in front of everybody. The whole kingdom swore loyalty to her, all that kind of stuff, blah. And then out of nowhere, these conniving Hightowers, led by Otto, who is such a great character, they basically, and Alicent, who accidentally effed everything up, but like, has this torn away, like all of a sudden they're all telling, oh, no, King Viserys changed his mind. He wants his son Aegon to be thing. So that's torn from her, starts a civil war. And then in the midst of all that, her son gets killed. Like, I get it. And then when she finally does take the throne back, the world kind of hates her. And now she's all mad. And like all these, they're killing her people. And now oh my God. But to me, yes, we could see her like kind of descending into madness and becoming, a Targaryen. This is what Targaryens do, man. We see her becoming more and more of that. But to me, it was Helena killing herself. That was the, for lack of, to use a bad analogy, that was the, Anakin striking down Samuel L. Jackson moment. That was that moment. That was to me the moment of this is an actual change of direction. We've seen her failing, we've seen her struggling, we've seen everything fraying at the seams, but to me, when she walks into Helena's room coldly and then reaches over and just coldly closes the window. To me, that was the moment, that was the moment that this significant shift has happened where somehow, some way, this season of television has moved us. I won't say us, I'll speak for myself, has moved me going from, the end of season 1, end of season 2, like, yeah, come on, Rhaenyra, get those bastards Aegon and Aemon, to through this brilliantly laid out path of this season, I'm now like kind of cheering for Aegon and Aemon. How did this show do that? How did this show get me, who was so firmly, yeah, come on, Rhaenyra, to the point that at the end of this season, I'm kind of now cheering for Aegon and Aemon? It was brilliantly done and brilliantly crafted. I just thought it was so well done. And then, oh my God, let's talk about Chibs for a second. Of course, from Sons of Anarchy. this character has, even though he's only probably had, think about this, he's probably had 6 scenes. He's probably had 6 scenes in this entire season, but he's been such a powerful presence. And everything from in the war tent, they go, are you still ready to die for your queen? Is like, yeah, let's get on with it. It's like, all right, jump over that, but don't get killed until you open the door. And then like, damn it, they open the door and we're still alive. And all the Northmen are like pissed off they're still alive. Up to the moment that he shoves us. This is one of the greatest deaths in the history of the Game of Thrones verse. When he shoves a sword up Ormond's ass. And that was great in of itself. Like a proper fucking from the north or whatever it was he says to him exactly. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part is when he looks up and sees Ulf flying down on his dragon. And like, he's so stoked. He's like so happy. He's like, with his one arm, yeah! And he's like, he's so excited the dragon's going to come down and burn him. It's like, this is the most glorious death, right? Number 1, we took the city. Number 2, I killed Ormond Hightower. And number 3, I don't just get to die at the hand of some guy's sword. I get to die by dragon. I just, the happiness, the pure happiness in his face was so great. So great. I just loved it. Okay, so let's, I'm going to try just to touch on a bunch of things here so we're not here all night. But the fight between, who was it that Daemon fought? What's that guy's name again? Oh, Ormond's right-hand guy. I call him, not many of you won't get this reference. I call that guy the Cowboy Bob Orton of the Game of Thrones verse of the world of House of the Dragon. Many of you don't understand that reference, and that's perfectly fine. It's okay. Go look it up sometime. But yeah, so Daemon fights Cowboy Bob Orton. And that was a really good fight. And I love the way it ended. I thought it ended well. And then, you know, I also love the fact that there seemed to be something in Daemon's face when he's looking around and seeing all the horror that this invasion of the city has caused. Like when he's seeing mothers carrying their dead children and like, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but there was something in his eyes that kind of broke a little bit. And again, I might be reading into that a little too much. They're saying Brazo. Was that his name? Sir Brazo? Was that him? Anyway, I really wanted to see Darren riding his dragon. I really thought we were going to get Darren riding his dragon. And I thought we were going to see why in the books he gets the name Darren the Daring. But whatever, we didn't get that. And that was fine. So what did we cover so far? We talked about Ormond's death. We talked about Brazo's and Daemon's fight. We talked about the death of Helena. Oh, let's talk about killing the Septim. House of the Dragons and the world of House of the Dragons has this long history of the crown being at odds with the Septim. But the way she just walked in there and is like, look, this is just the way it is. You either do this or you're a traitor. And that is not something Rhaenyra, again, going to the evolution of the character and how she's changed slowly and gradually, and all the changes have been earned. But that is not something Rhaenyra at the end of season 2 would have done. Hell, it's not something Rhaenyra at the beginning of season 3 would have done. It's not something that Rhaenyra in the middle of season 3 would have done. And I thought that was a pretty bold, but especially when she goes up to Adam and says in his ears, You're of old Valyria. You answer to higher gods. I'm like, now she's becoming manipulative. Like, I think that's the first time in the show we've seen her like become a manipulator. Like everything else she's done has pretty much been, in all honesty, I want this. She says what she wants. But like when she goes up and whispers in Adam's ear, you are the blood of old Valyria. Well, why don't you let him have his name then, lady? Anyway, your blood is of old Valyria. You answer to higher gods. I I loved it. And yes, Johnny is saying, did you see her eye? I loved her eye makeup. There's just the little things above each eye. I don't know. That looks so striking. It was a simple little thing, but for me visually it was, and by the way, can we just take our hat off for a second? All the costume designs in Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon have always been great. Always been great. But holy shit. Rhaenyra's outfit that she wore to the Septum and then came out to give her that whole outfit. Oh, that outfit was awesome. That outfit was so good. And, you know, my wife and I played Dungeons and Dragons, and Anne's been getting into like figure painting and stuff like that too. And all I could think about was like, that is an awesome looking Dungeons and Dragons character right there. It was clean lines and it looked powerful. It looked powerful. I mean, so again, I don't think the costume designers of the Game of Thrones verse shows, that includes Night of the Seven Kingdoms, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, I don't think they get enough love for the costume design in these shows. They're always, because even Daemon's battle armor tonight looks so good. So awesome. And man, so let's move on for that. The dismissing of what's her name? The whore. I don't say that as an insult. I mean that's what she wasn't sure. Mineria? No, what was her name, guys? What was her name? The French girl. It's not. Oh, I was just talking to Anne about it, and I said the name 100 times. Missaria. Thank you. Not Mineria. Missaria. Oh, that was satisfying. But again, because what happened there? One of my friends said, well, that seems kind of sudden, sending her away. What that was, when Rhaenyra went to go see Daemon and like said, Aegon's back, Sunfire's still alive, my people hate me, everything sucks. And Daemon was just like, I almost said Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Yes, Matt Damon. Odysseus comes walking to no. And Daemon just so calm. It's like, this is your moment. You're there. And at that moment, because remember, this whole season, she's kind of been torn between the council of Daemon and the council of Missaria. And in that moment, when she's talking to Daemon, she realizes, yeah, this is now my path. I'm going to be, like, what is it that she says in Lord of the Rings? All will look upon my beauty and despair, or something like that. And it's something along those lines. But like that, it's in that moment, you could see it come over her face, the resoluteness. She made her choice. This is what I'm going to be. And if I'm going to be this, I can't have this little bird chirping in my ear anymore. And she just sends her away. And I got to admit, that was kind of satisfying. I've come to kind of dislike this character. So anyway, glad to see her getting out, but she's still stuck around in town. All right. Let's now talk about what they kind of revealed at the end of the last episode. Ulf. The betrayal of Ulf. And that was, I mean, like as soon as Ormond found him, and listen, I get it. I understand Ormond's frustration. We went through all this trouble. We made all this big plan. Meanwhile, we're being attacked and you're passed out drunk on the toilet. He was mad. But I mean, Ormond had to know, like pulling him out into the street and then kicking the shit out of him probably wasn't the best idea. And like Ulf had just had it with everybody. Ulf just goes around Britain. Now, Ulf is a sack of shit. Make no mistake. He's a total bag of crap. But I gotta say, he's just been kicked around by everybody. He's like, fuck you too. And not only does he burn all of the blacks, he starts burning all the greens. And it's like, wow. So he goes right off the ledge. Hugh. Oh man, Hugh finding his wife. I really thought, despite everything else, I really thought that he was going to find her alive. I know I shouldn't have, but I really did. I really thought he was going to find her alive. And he would get some sort of happiness. Even if his wife still rejected him, just knowing that he saved her life. I thought Hugh was going to get something. And man, when I don't know if it affected anybody else the same way. When he went in and found his wife, at first I thought she was alive, but then when he screamed, I'm like, it broke my heart. It totally broke my heart. I think Hugh is actually one of the more underrated characters in the show. I really like him. Like, because even the fact that his wife rejected him, right? His wife straight up rejected him. And he's like, that doesn't matter. I'm not like, she may reject me. She can hate me. That's fine. I am not going to let her die. I can't let her die and not try to stop that from happening. And there's something wonderfully noble about his character. I really like Hugh's character. And depending on how close or not close they stick to, because the Battle of Tumbleton, actually, a lot of things that happened in the books happened here, but they also made some changes, which is what you should do, right? Like the goal of a good filmmaker or a TV show creator is not to stick to the source material as close as possible. It's to make the best adaptation possible. And often to make the best adaptation possible, you have to deviate from the source material a little bit. And I thought it was all good. So yeah, I thought that was great. So they did leave. Somebody just I was about to bring this up, Johnny. They kind of leave it a little bit of a cliffhanger of where's Darren? Good question. We'll see, but I'm sure wherever he is with his dragon. I'm sure wherever he's with his dragon. But I think that's going to be a really interesting character. And by the way, can I just mention that I am dying to see The Legend of Zelda with this. I think this kid's been so good as Darren in this season. For those of you who didn't know, I'm sure most of you do, but for those of you who didn't, the kid who plays Darren is going to be Link in the live action Legend of Zelda movie. So I'm really excited about that. I think he's going to be wonderful. Yeah, that's where he is right now. He went off to fight Ganon. He ran off from this little town to fight Ganon. And yes, Elias, that is Link. That kid's going to be playing Link. And yeah, they're right. I kind of predicted earlier, like a week and a half ago or so, I kind of made a prediction. I mean, I didn't know. I said, I'm thinking they might combine the two battles of Tumbleton into one, but they didn't. At least I don't think they did. So anyway, so let's see. What else am I missing here? What else am I forgetting? Something that happened in the episode that I'm forgetting. Oh, well, two of Corliss's sons having that little discussion. I thought that was great. Oh, also, I love the line when Corliss, they go to him in his little dungeon thing. And he says, my honor is all I have left. Corliss might be the best character in all of House of the Dragon, to be honest with you. I mean, he's been through so much, and no matter what happens, he gets mad, he gets whatever, but he keeps his honor, right? Like, it doesn't, like, he's sworn allegiance to Rhaenyra. He's staying loyal to Rhaenyra. And like, there's something about that. So that whole thing was really good. And I love the fact that he was having that moment, like with Daemon. He's like, look, let's be smart here. We can do this. Nobody dies. And it still ends with Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne. Right? Like, so he's still trying to be that. And he's just probably the wisest, smartest guy in the whole thing. So that was great. So yeah. Is there anything else significant that happened? Oh my gosh. Like the confrontation between Rhaenyra and Daemon's daughter. Like, I thought that was a really good scene. I kind of wish they did a follow-up to that scene before the episode ended. They didn't. They decided to let that sit for now. That's fine. We'll get around to that in the final season, which it's hard to believe the next season is the final season. Yeah. All right. So with all that, oh my God. Yes. Yes. Whether it's Joffrey or what was the name of the other guy who became the big bad, the most conniving bad guy in Game of Thrones? What was his name again? The one that had Sansa. So there was Joffrey, and then what was the other guy's name? I'm freezing. He went on to be in the Inhumans. Bolton. Yeah. There comes a moment when you have to have, like, you don't like this character. Oh, they're bad. And ooh, I can't wait for this character to get theirs, right? But to really push it over the edge, you need one of those characters to do something so despicable that it changes you from, well, this is a bad guy. I mean, this guy needs to get his, right? There needs to come a moment where they do something where you go from that to, oh no, this fucker gotta die. Like, fuck this guy, right? Like, that really pushes you over that edge. And like, yeah, we detest Ormond, right? Like, we all detest Ormond. Great character, but we detest him. But when they brought up those children onto the walls, especially after doing the knighting pledge that you will protect women and children, right? Like, he himself has been knighted. He's a knight. He swore an oath to protect women and children. And what does this sack of crap do? He sends up children not only onto the wall to be frontline onto the wall, but then sends them out to stand in front of the gate right in front of a dragon. Are like, come on. Like, at that moment, I don't just want Ormond to die. I don't know if any of you guys remember the classic comedy, Mike Myers comedy, my favorite Mike Myers movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer. Any of you guys see So I Married an Axe Murderer? If you haven't, you're missing out. I think it's Mike Myers' best. All due respect to Wayne's World, all due respect to Austin Powers, but my favorite Mike Myers movie is So I Married an Axe Murderer. Why am I bringing up So I Married an Axe Murderer? I'm bringing up So I Married an Axe Murderer because there's this great scene where he's talking to Phil Hartman, who's a guard on Alcatraz Island, and says, like, he pissed in his ocular cavity. When he brought the kids in front, I didn't just want Ormond to die. I wanted somebody to, like, stab out his eyes, whip out their dicks, and have intercourse with his ocular cavity. Like, I want to see him die in a humiliating, debasing, awful fashion. That was great. Somebody mentioned that Chips killed one of the kids. Yeah, that wasn't very cool. But I mean, the kid, what do you do? Why? This is an invading soul, and he's walking right past you. He's leaving you alone, kid. Why would you hit him? Bad move. But yeah, maybe not so cool by Chibs to kill the kid. Probably a bad move. Not the best move. Not his finest moment. Not his finest moment. So I think that covers just about everything. Now, before we go on and start taking your live thoughts and questions and comments here, let me say one thing that does drive me nuts. And it's not about the story. It's not about the acting. It's not about the narrative. Here's the thing that drives me nuts. And it's the first thing that came into my head and the first thing Anne said when the episode ended. And we were all thinking the same thing. And now we got to sit around and wait for 2 years for them to give us the next season. I hate that. Now, it's a trend that is starting to change. We are starting to see now more shows reverting back to an annual release schedule. And we see it with big shows like The Pitt, Daredevil went to annual seasons. like breaking the streaming trend where you get a season and then you wait for 2 or 3 years to have to get another season. Like you're an 8 episode show and it's a grand 8 episodes and it's huge and skate and it's cinematic. I get it. But I'm sorry. In the 1980s, they're making 24 episode seasons and they're doing a season every year. With all the technology and all the money and all that, you can do an 8 episode season a year. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. So it really bugs me that we have to wait now 2 years to get the next season of House of the Dragon. That drives me crazy. However, the good news is we're going to get Knight of the Seven Kingdoms next year. And that's good. That's good. But I'm glad we're getting that. Okay. With that all down, guys, I know it's getting late, but let's go over and start taking the questions and thoughts and observations that you guys have made about tonight's episode, the finale of House of the Dragon. All right. We're going to get things kicked off here. I think we're starting with frame by frame. Yes, we are. Frame by frame writes, I'm not a fan of Mysaria. Yeah, me neither. Her relationship with Rhaenyra feels out of place and forced to me. Am I alone in that thought? I disagree with you on that. Oh, for some reason my camera's not working. Oh, because I forgot to turn it on. Forgot to turn that camera on, so I'll turn this camera on. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to agree on part 1 that I don't like the character. But her relationship with Rhaenyra, I don't felt out of place or forced at all. Like, I didn't like the character, but the relationship, because remember what she represented. In the grand scheme of things, to go back to an old Flintstones imagery, Daemon was the devil on this shoulder whispering in her ear. And Mysaria was the angel, so to speak, whispering the complete opposite in the other ear. And in the last season, she was saying a lot of things that made a lot of sense to Rhaenyra and showed a lot of loyalty. I mean, we understand now she's a little bit kind of underhanded and conniving, but in that season, she showed a lot of loyalty, whatever, and was saying the kind of things that kind of aligned with what Rhaenyra wanted her philosophy to be. And I mean, she's Mysaria. She's pretty good at seducing people. Like, so I saw that. I personally never felt forced, personally, myself. I think it made real sense, and it kind of re-emphasized what her position was. And so you had both Daemon and Mysaria, totally opposite, trying to pull Rhaenyra in 2 totally different directions, both sharing her ear, both sharing her bed, and then ultimately at the point in this finale, she chooses and sends Mysaria away. So yeah, I didn't like the character either, at least not this season. But for me personally, yeah, again, I'm not taking away from how you felt about it at all. I'm just saying for me, I felt like it did make sense, and I feel like it did kind of work. So that's just me. Anyway, thanks for sharing your thoughts on that frame by frame. All right. Let's see. Next up, we've got Ismail Montoya writes, hey, John, my favorite season of House of the Dragon. You know what? I think it's mine too. What do you expect for season 4? Well, listen, I'll tell you what. I knew, like a lot of people, I knew a lot of the significant events that would happen in season 3, and it still exceeded my expectations. I'm also somebody who liked season 2. I like season 2 better than most people did. I actually hear some people complaining about season 2 and whatever. And people, even people I know who really like House of the Dragon, will often talk about season 2, say, season 2 wasn't so. All I can speak is for myself. I really like season 2. I really did. I thought season 2 was a lot of fun. But whatever, I understand it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, perfectly fine, but I loved it. So I say this as somebody who I think I like this show a little bit more than most people do. I thought this was the best season 2. I completely agree. I thought this was the best season yet. Great character work. The performances continue to be top notch. It's an overused phrase, but it is an extremely cinematic show. An extremely cinematic show that really knows how to do big needle drop moments, man. Like last episode, when Sunfire comes back through the trees looking all fucked up, and that moment where you see both him and Aegon looking towards the soldiers, the camera's about down here looking up to Aegon's face and then past him to Sunfire, and you see both of their faces are all messed up, and like Aegon's and Sunfire's breathing fire. It's like, come on. Like that was such a boss moment. That was such a great moment. I just ate that up. But here's why that moment worked. The reason that moment worked is because of the season-long journey we've been on with Aegon. To have this very gradual, not sudden, but this gradual and every step along the way earned character evolution. To the point that this, let's face it, this sniveling runt of a kid it comes to a point where he's grown as a man, thanks to Lord Foot Rubber telling him, you're not just a terrible king, you're a terrible man. He's loyal to him, but he's telling him straight up, you're a terrible king and you're a terrible man. And that became a big crucible moment for him, to the point where it's like, I want to die with a sword in my hand. I'm not going to run. These guys are coming. Let them come. They're going to kill me, but I'm going to die fighting in battle and blood. Like that's, and you know what? You believed that. It didn't feel gifted. It wasn't a moment that was gifted to the character. It's a moment that you did see the path leading to that and him becoming that. And then Sunfire showing back up. And then that moment gets topped by him going to Harrenhal and confronting his brother, which is, chef's kiss. Oh, so good. So good. So yeah, anyway, and it wasn't just Aegon. I feel like every character has been through that, right? Every character was treated with that same kind of importance. And to me, I agree. I think this was the best season yet, Ismail. All right. Joey writes, sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate that, man. And Joey writes, a proper fucking from the north. What a great line. Wild finale. Rhaenyra is really reminding me of Paul Atreides. Timely that this is coming out right before Dune 3. Yeah. Again, this season, we're talking about moments being given to characters that aren't gifted but earned, right? And we're talking about that in terms of Aegon. But I also feel the same way in the opposite direction for Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra killing the septum, the Rhaenyra sending Mysaria away, Rhaenyra donning the battle outfit and standing in front of people. Like, these aren't moments in a finale that they just gifted to the character. They invested and planted seeds this entire season that led gradually to this moment that it did not feel out of place. It's like, yep, this was the conclusion of this. And I just thought that was really, really, really well done. And man, the place that it's left her off at, and we know it's only going to continue in season 4. But again, I'm telling you, t-shirts are going to be made with that. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't. Boss Logic may design a poster of a proper effing from the north by tomorrow morning. Boss works real quick. So I wouldn't be surprised. You guys remember we had Boss Logic on the show last year. He is a great guest. I love Boss Logic. But I mean, he'll probably have something designed with that by morning. By morning, he'll probably have something out. And I personally cannot wait to see it. All right. Next up. We got Alex Von Gollum who writes, I like that this season took the time to develop Rhaenyra. I was just saying that same thing, Alex. The finale was the culminating step. She decided to be cold. Emma was incredible throughout. Dude, can we just, let's just take a minute to give flowers. It's the whole series. She's been remarkable. She's been like her, Matt Smith, everybody has just been like since you go back to season 1 and like you had these powerhouse performances from like Viserys and Otto and all that kind of stuff. Like this show has been like peaked with insanely great performances. And she this season has done her best work. This season has been her best work. And that's saying something because she's been great in every season. But this was really kind of next level stuff. All right. Next up, Alex also writes, do you think that with Corlys rescuing Daemon, he will continue to support Rhaenyra? I do. He did show he's an honorable character. Yeah, and his honor says, I am committed to House Targaryen. Well, I mean, I guess it's both sides. But I've pledged my loyalty to Rhaenyra. That's his honor. That's why he even said in the prison, you think a whole bunch of, like, all I have left is my honor. You think a bunch of coin is going to make me betray my honor? So, yes, I think he's staying on, Rhaenyra's side. And because of honor. So, again, I think he might low-key be the best character in the entire show. I love Corlys. Like starting with the battle in episode 1 and now all the way through here with kind of the role he played first as a prisoner, trying to be a diplomat in a way, and then ultimately getting Daemon out of there. I'm going to continue with great excitement to see what they do with him in the final season. All right. Next up, Kara Black sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Kara. Appreciate that very much. And Kara writes, this was a depressing, chaotic, and destructive finale to season 3. Oh, we knew that was coming. It's the Battle of Tumbleton. Like, we knew that was coming. Backstabbing at every turn. The producers, creators of the show said Rhaenyra is now Darth Vader, and she also looks like the evil queen from Snow White. Yeah, that outfit. I mean, but it reminded me a lot, like the end of the Battle of Tumbleton reminds me a lot of Saving Private Ryan, in the sense that I remember the first time I watched Saving Private Ryan, and it's like you have this great, glorious war scene, right? But never once did it ever feel like it was glorifying war. By the end of that opening scene in Saving Private Ryan, all you're left with is the same thing that Tom Hanks's character is with, is that war sucks. I know for me that's what I came away from watching the opening of Saving Private Ryan is it's just there's no other flavor. War sucks. That's it. That's the only flavor. It sucks. And I kind of got Saving Private Ryan vibes by the end of the Battle for Tumbleton, right? I kind of had that a little bit. And I thought it was beautiful done. And like I said a little bit earlier, I even feel like Daemon had a moment there. Like after his fight with Cowboy Bob Orton, I felt like he's walking through and he's seeing the misery. He's seeing the destruction. He's seeing the death and the suffering that this has caused. It isn't the glory. It's this, and like that, especially that one moment when he sees his mother carrying what I can only assume was her dead child. It's something. Like it was really something, and it meant a lot to me to see that. And yes, you're right. It was depressing and hopeless and like, man. Oh. And by the way, I forget the character's name, but the Hightower cousin, you know, Darren's kind of mentor, Ormond's cousin, who was with Kristen Cole and now is back. I forget that he's a Hightower. I forget the character's name. If you guys remember it, please throw it in the live chat. Can I just say, I have grown to really like that character. Is his name Gwaine? Is that it? Gwaine, says Kara. I just, at every step along the way, he's just kind of been the voice of reason, right? Like he's always just saying kind of the level-headed thing. He's not some glory-seeking monster. He's not weak, but he's just always saying and doing the common sense thing. What would be the common sense thing right now? And I've really come to really like the character. And I don't hope for bad things from him. Unlike a lot of Hightowers. I don't hope for bad things for him. And he's very, very committed to Darren. He's very committed to Darren. And I like that a lot. Let's see. Next up. Big Mouth Stan writes, and by the way, thank you for that, Kara. Appreciate that very much. Big Mouth Stan writes, nobody can find Vhagar. She's literally the size of a football field. How is she sneaking around like that? Does Vhagar have a stealth mode? Hey, listen, it's a big world. It's a big world. It's not like Vhagar is like hiding in the city behind a dumpster. Like probably Vagar's out. Maybe he went out to the north, whatever. If a dragon doesn't want to be found, I'm guessing maybe a dragon doesn't want to be found. But don't worry. Don't worry. Like the Emperor, somehow Vhagar will return. Vhagar will return, so don't worry about it. All right, thanks for that, Big Mouth. Frame by Frame writes, great finale. It only goes to show that there is no real winner in war. I was just kind of saying that exact same thing, Frame by Frame. Only those that survive. Rhaenyra has the throne for now, but at the cost of her sanity and how people view her. And again, as Rhaenyra is descending into madness and becoming a real Targaryen, I can't help but feel bad for her. Like, what her life should have been, because remember, she was a very good person. Going all the way to when Millie Alcock was playing her. What her life was supposed to be was she was named heir to the Iron Throne by her father. That should have been it. Her father should have tragically passed away. And then she assumes the throne with her Targaryen family there to support her and had a 50-year reign of peace and prosperity in the kingdom. That's what her life should have been. But like a lot of good supervillain origin stories in the comics, her story is playing out like a villain origin story. Like somebody who started off with the best of intentions, but she got wronged. She has been wronged a lot in this series, and now she's at the point where she's broken. She's broken now. And it's left her in this miserable place. And so while we watch her descend into madness, into kind of, in the prophecy of the Dark Knight, she's lived long enough to become the villain, I can't help but feel bad for her. Because at the end of the day, she was right. She was the rightful heir to the throne. And this whole Targaryen Dance of the Dragons civil war should never have happened in the first place. But it did. And things happened. And sacrifices were made. And sufferings were imposed. And now she's at this place. And that's the makings of a great tragedy, Frame by Frame. I agree. The finale was so great and is the making of a great tragedy. All right. Ryan Loney. By the way, guys, I'm turning off the super chats because I don't want to keep everybody too late tonight. So I know it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. So I'm going to turn off the super chats. So we only have a few more left anyway, but I'm just going to turn them off right now just because I don't want to keep people too late. And we will move on here. Next up, we have, why can't I find it? It should be here. Oh, there we are. There's Frame by Frame's there. Okay, so we go from Frame by Frame to Ryan Lonnie, who writes, 1 of 5. All right, here we go. I knew the death of Helena was coming early after George rallied against it publicly. On paper, killing her off now shouldn't work, but it does. I was just talking about that earlier, right? Okay, we'll get back to that. Let me continue reading your stuff. In the book, she's an afterthought. She really is. Her only mentions are during the killing of her little boy and her suicide, which happens a bit later. Making her a fragile dreamer was brilliant. We don't need a fresh horror, George's words, in the murder of another son to make her death work. From just how prophetically and physically trapped Helena feels to the Ormond storyline. I'm impressed with what we've gotten this season. I get why George said, this isn't my story anymore, because it is not. It really is. Like, it's like I'll get to that in a second. But I love the show, given how little they had to work with. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go off too much on George R.R., but I mean, you're a brilliantly wonderful creator and writer. But can you please stop your whining? Again, the job of movie producers and television producers is not to create as fateful of an adaptation as possible. Their job is to make the best movie possible or the best television show possible. And sometimes, no matter how good your writings are, that's one medium. To make it work better on a screen, you sometimes have to make some changes. And I don't know, like, when I heard him decry, it's not my story anymore, it's like, it's probably some minor changes. And it really is. It's nothing too drastically major. It's not like Damon becomes a Jedi or something like that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I was just saying earlier in the stream that I thought Helena's suicide was remarkably profound. I was not expecting it to have an impact. I was not expecting it to be a great moment. But again, the way they set it up, not only does it end her tragedy, but it serves as a tragedy. That is the moment to me that really signaled Rhaenyra's change. It was a practical, tangible thing, not just talking with Daemon, then all of a sudden her face gets stone cold. I think it was the death of Helena that really does it. And the way then Rhaenyra comes into the room, coldly closed, just doesn't even really care, just picks up the thing. Her sister's down there on the ground dead. And just picks up the tapestry, closes the things coldly. And to me, that was the visual highway post to me, that this was the moment to me that she had the killing the younglings moment. And I thought it was far more powerful, and I felt it far more than I thought I would. I didn't think I would, and I really did. And it worked a lot. It really worked a lot. Anyway. All right, let's keep going here. Thanks for sending that in, Ryan. Appreciate that, man. All right, next up. We got Brianna, who writes in, using children as human shield is disturbing. Again, to me, that's the moment that sent me over the edge. Like, because until that moment, Ormond is a villain, right? He's an antagonist. He doesn't like the Targaryens. He wants to set up a new era. He wants Daeron to be king, has his own designs on things too, really doesn't like Rhaenyra for his own stupid reasons. But he's a villain, and he's done some nasty things, and even Daeron doesn't like him, and he's the villain. But I don't want to see every villain I see on screen. I don't feel like every bad guy, even like really good bad guys in movies, I don't feel like I want to see this guy get a sword rammed up his ass, right? And when Ormond had children marched out, like, you could have told me that he does that. And I think, oh, that's dirty. But seeing it, bringing children onto the wall and putting children in front of the gate, that was the moment to me that was like, yeah, I want to see somebody get a sword rammed up their ass and feel so satisfied with it. And man, the Game of Thrones verse does a really good job of taking villains and pushing them over our mental edges to, we don't just want to see them defeated. We want to see them effed up. We want to see them really screwed. And bringing children on the wall, that was it for me. That was the moment for me. It's like, yeah, this mother effer's got to die. He's got to die. I just want to see him defeated. I want to see him die in a horrible way. And man, they delivered. They delivered on that promise, Brianna. All right, next up. Benji writes, loved this season. Me too, man. Damon finally set loose, was so satisfying. Missed Game of Thrones 10 episode seasons though. Need one or two more. Hate the 2-year waiting period. Listen, I went off on that at the beginning, but I will follow it up again here. It's infuriating. It really is. And it makes the show lose momentum. I'm sorry, it does. It makes the show lose momentum. Like even Severance, which is great. Severance is great. I don't think this past season was their strongest season, to be honest, but I still enjoyed it. I still like the new season. But the absolute fervor and hype and excitement around Severance that was there when season 2 ended to the beginning of the next season, it just lost some of it. 3 years. Like it was about a 3-year wait in between seasons for Severance. And they never really, that I'm sorry guys, but hype and excitement is like a fart in a room. It's there, and it might even be there for a while. But even if the doors are closed, eventually that smell will dissipate out. And eventually it fades. And eventually it's gone. Even if the doors are closed, eventually it'll be gone. And I feel like when the next season, when the last season that we just had of Severance came around, yeah, there was still excitement, but it wasn't that same fevered pitch of excitement that we were all at when the last season ended. Because it was like a 3-year wait. And I just feel that's bad for a show. I just feel like it's bad for a show. Not every time, but even Stranger Things. Like I think Stranger Things, had they released a show every year, hell, even a show every year and a half, I even think the momentum would have stayed big, would have been bigger than it was. And I just feel like they lost some momentum after season 2 and a 2-year wait for this. And I don't know. When I say momentum, I don't mean the quality of the show. The quality of the show, I think this was the best season yet. I think this was the best season yet. But as far as that excitement and momentum, I feel like they lost a little bit of it. And you got to do it better. You have to have shows come out every year. We're not even asking you to do the traditional 22 episodes. Do 8, fine. But have it come out every year. I'm not pretending it's easy, and I'm not suggesting it's not a huge commitment, but you have hundreds of millions of dollars. Just, make it happen. Anyway, that's just me. All right. Thanks for that, Benji. Next up, Dr. Chaput writes, with the exception of the last season, Game of Thrones was coming out with new season every year. I just don't understand why they can't do that again. And longer seasons. Longer seasons. In the world of streaming shows, there is, to be fair, one particular holdup after season 1 of any show. Streamers are very hesitant to commit to more than one season of a new show, right? Because, they're expensive and all that kind of stuff, and they want to see how that goes. The problem then after a season 1 is once you decide you do want a season 2, now you got to sign contracts again. You got to lock people down. You got to fit around schedules, and there can be a delay between a season 1 and a season 2. You still shouldn't. You should be on your game and be able to work that out, but it's a little bit more understandable. But after that, once you've committed to seasons 2, 3, and 4, there really is no excuse. If Game of Thrones could do it, if Breaking Bad could do it, and Breaking Bad had some hiccups here and there too, don't get me wrong. I'm sorry, but if Battlestar Galactica could do it, You should be able to do it, especially once again when we're talking about the fact that it's 8 episodes. It's 8 episodes. You got to be able to get on that. Anyway, that's just me. That's just me. All right. Next up, we've got the Radical Modder who says, so show canon is now Alice Rivers was Black Heron's wife. Yes. Who was cursed to live forever. She's alive during Aegon's conquest. Oh, I don't think she was alive during Aegon's conquest. Wait a minute. That's right. We're not in Game of Thrones time. We're in House of the Dragon. Was Aegon's... Yeah. Because Aegon's conquest wasn't that long ago in terms of House of the Dragon as it was to Game of Thrones. You know what I really like the most? When she mentioned, I'm assuming it's the Children of the Forest, right? Like, I'm assuming that's who she was referencing. When she talked about making a deal with treating with creatures in the forest, I'm assuming that was Children of the Forest. I'm guessing. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but that's what I'm going to guess at any rate. And she's actually 100 years old, and I thought that was interesting. I mean, it does very much explain why she's so connected to the castle. Why, when like Daemon was leaving, her one thing was, give me this castle. It explains a lot. It explains a lot. Somebody, Big Mouth Sam, saying she's like Melisandre. But no, I don't think Melisandre wasn't cursed with that. Melisandre, and it's a very different entity she's working with. So I don't know if I'd say she, other than the fact that she's very old, but I don't think she was like Melisandre all that much, to be honest with you. But yeah, she's cursed. She's cursed. By the way, she had an awesome moment in the last episode when she warns Aemon that her mother's there to do him harm, and he doesn't listen, and then he comes staggering into the room poisoned, and she just goes, idiot. I like those of you who are guys like me who are married, I can probably imagine that's the way of something my wife says about me every 4 or 5 days. She's something that I do and go, idiot. Anyway, yeah, there's that. All right. Let's keep going on here, shall we? Benji Gator writes, if only Rhaenyra had offered Ulf a castle. See, that's the thing. There are a lot of these moments in these shows, in these shows and movies where these major road curves happen, where if only our hero had done this, if only the hero had answered that phone, if only that guy had been kind to that person instead of mean to that person, if only she had given Ulf a castle, or at least not say you have to stay holed up in whatever it was. Like, you can't even go out and see your friends. Now, Rhaenyra was not wrong. He said, listen, you're going to be a target now because you're a dragon lord now. You're one of my key servants. And so you got to be careful. But I think just suddenly putting him under babysitter and saying you got to stay in the whatever and that, yeah, I don't think she necessarily had to give him a castle. But then treating and then Daemon beating the crap out of him publicly, that I'm sure didn't help much either. But he's a dick. Ulf is a dick. And so it doesn't take much to bring the dick out. I should have phrased that. It doesn't take much to bring the dick out. But when you're a guy like him who is such a dick, it doesn't take much. And Ormond got it out of him. All right. Draven writes, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. Helena, probably. Yeah. Again, Helena's been a character. I mean, I said this on my show a few weeks ago. I'm just waiting for her to do something, right? Because I'm bored of the character. The character is a nothing character. I was not ready for how profound that her suicide would be. Like it felt truly, as I said earlier in the stream, it felt truly like a tragedy, not just a tragedy for her, but a tragedy for the kingdom, a tragedy of innocence. I think that was the bigger story. It's the tragedy of innocence, because she's an innocent girl through all of this. She never asked for any of this crap. It's all been forced on her. And her death, it just impacted me way more than I thought it would, Draven. All right, next up. We got Johnny B1 writes, Rhaenyra grabs Bela by her face is a whoa moment. Yeah. And again, you can't just have, when a character like Rhaenyra is descending, you can't just have it being revealed in certain, you have to have these moments, right? These key moments that visibly give us cues that she's changing. It's slow, it's gradual, but it comes to a point. And like little things like the stepping up and like, oh no, you don't talk to me like that, I'm the queen. And like grabbing her face, and yeah, that was yet another great little visual cue to us as the audience that she's crossing lines now. She's crossing lines that she wouldn't have crossed before. And you can make an argument, well, you know, Bela shouldn't be talking to the queen like that. That's true too, but that doesn't change the fact that growing up and grabbing her face, that's just not something Rhaenyra would have done before. And now we're at the point that she does. And yeah, you're right. I like the way you said, that was a whoa moment. All right. Last super chat of the night, because I've turned super chats off a little while ago. Gazzy writes, hey, JC, in many TV shows, different episodes are directed and written by different people. Yes. How does the show still feel so consistent? Showrunners. So like in television, 98% of the time, bunch of episodes are directed by a whole bunch of different directors, right? But that's very different from a movie. But in television, you have a showrunner, right? Somebody who's in charge of the show. House of the Dragon has that. I forget his name now. If you guys remember the name of the showrunner, throw it down there. And it's the showrunner with their writer's room that makes sure everything stays on course. And the showrunner will work with the directors who then have to go and bring that vision, bring that script to life. But it's already been laid out, and the showrunner is the person who kind of controls it all. So the showrunner is not the person on set directing it, but that's why the role of a director in a television show, it's still directing, don't get me wrong, but the role of a director on a television show is not as monumental as the role of a director in a film, where the director of a film, that's the be all end all person right there, is the director. Not so much the case with the director of television, although it's Ryan Condal. Thank you, Big Mouth Stan. Ryan Condal's the showrunner, but ultimately they are the ones who are in charge of the series and the ones who are in charge of the show. And that's how a show like House of the Dragon and others maintain, if the showrunner is good, maintaining that sense of consistency throughout it. All right, guys, listen, that wraps up all the super chats, but I'm going to take just a couple of minutes here. I'm going to take some questions from you guys. There are hundreds of you guys in the live chat here. So if you guys have a question at midnight, like way past midnight East Coast time, just put in the word, all in capital letters, question. That way I know you're asking me a question. And then write in an observation, a thought, a theory that you have. Yeah, so next up we've got, let's see, Johnny B writes, question, John, do you think Mysaria telling Helena sent her in suicide, or do you think she had already made up her mind? I think she was already well on her way. Right? Her descending into depression, the not eating, all that, like even her own mother was very worried about her. I think it was a path she was already on. But maybe what Mysaria told her might have pushed her ahead a few more steps, but I think that's what the path she was on regardless. And again, super tragic, super horrible. But yeah. All right. That was it. Nobody else had any questions. Oh, wait, no, a couple more popped in. Let's see. We got Aaron writes, is Hugh's loyalty in play now after his wife's death? I believe so. Yes. I believe so. Yes. I think that is going to be the death of somebody's loved one is often a turning point for a character. And I think that will not be any different here. Next up, we got Litacoras. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Says, who is your MVP this season? Great question. Who is I think Corliss might be my favorite character of the show, but he's not the MVP of the season. I want to say Chibs, but he only had literally 6 or 7 scenes in the season. So I don't know I can say him. Who's my MVP of the season? Man, I mean, Alan. Alan's a great character. Alan could be. Man, it was such a this is why the question's so good, is because it was such a well-balanced season. There was no one character. I mean, Ormond, there's an argument to be made for Ormond. You know what? Yes, I'm going to say Ormond was the MVP of this season. As much as we hate him, he was this season's personality. He gave this season its personality. Did he only give us a great new antagonist for the season? He gave it wonderful personality, a totally unique kind of character. He wasn't just a one-dimensional mustache. I'm evil, ha ha ha. It was a totally different kind of high-born asshole sort of character that, as much as I hated the character, I loved seeing the character on screen because I got to hate him. I don't know. You know what? Yeah, I wouldn't have come up with it myself, Michael, but I think you're right. I think probably Ormond, that or Aegon. I changed my mind. Aegon's the MVP this season. Ormond's great. Great argument for Ormond. Excellent argument for Ormond. But I was just talking earlier about this incredible character journey of the character and where we ended up not just with him finding Sunfire again, but then confronting his brother. Yes, that's what I'll go with. I'll go with Aegon was the MVP this season. And all right, guys, that will do it for this special House of the Dragon Season 3 finale open spoiler discussion. Thank you guys so much for staying up so late and being here with me. And again, I guess we could have waited till tomorrow, but I didn't want to wait till tomorrow. I just wanted to do this tonight and just talk about it after watching the season, after watching the episode. So thank you so much for joining me here, guys. It's a real huge honor that you do. Make sure you come back, join us again tomorrow for the John Campea Show. We're looking forward to doing that. Thank you to everybody who stayed up with me here tonight. Great to have you here. That will do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.